Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Time of the night, people. Yeah, Spaced Out Radio. We are back, and we got a power show with our main man, Merle. So Merle it up tonight for Ghost of the Great White North. Let's see it in the chat rooms as we say hello to Merle, Kelly, and Ashley. They will be in momentarily, and we're talking some big-time ghosts tonight. Oh, yeah. Hello to all of you, including Ann B in the gold medal position, Sugar Britches with the silver, and Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight. Penny Van, how are you? Tim Othman merling it up early, and Robert Lamoth, Brown Dwarf, Sugar Britches, and there's Little Timmy Senor. Little Timmy Senor will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. D. Cohen, Donna, and Ozzy Sue, how are you? Kevin, what's happening, my man? And the lovely Jenny. Jenny will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Let's continue on with roll call, shall we? Let us head on over and say hello to number 17 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, starting at left defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. There's Dutch Hank and Luscious Jewels, as well as the birthday girl, Sandra Kincaid. We shall sing to you later, Sandra. Yes, we will, I promise you. Oh, there's little Marky Spender. Look at that. Look at that. I'll tell you, he's still wearing his T-shirt that has buffalo wing sauce all over it. I can guarantee you, because I was at dinner with him tonight. All right, let's continue on. And let's say hello to Pixie Lara. Dave Walters giving some Merle time. Millennium, my man. Monica, how are you? Stephen Edmond, good to see you. Kurt M. and Jessica. Even Merle is merling himself up. Penman, what's happening? And who else do we have here? We have Kathy Evans, Phil the Stalker, and who else do we have here? Sundance Kid, good to have you back. Twyla, nice to see you again. And who else do we have? Let's take a look here. Oh, there's Vash the Impaler. Good to see you. James Weston, nice to have you back. And Cecil, where have you been hiding? Where have you been hiding? Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to have you back. River Dogma, what's happening, my man? And Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Say hi to Samantha for us. Hope she's feeling better. Shane, what's happening? He only shows up once a month. Yeah, he's like a bad zit, that guy. Welsh Hammer, what's happening? Good to see you. The lovely and talented Kira. Much love to you. Give me a call tomorrow if you don't mind. Obi Flett, my man, what's happening? And who else do we have here? Well, we got Paramarv. There he is. Twyla's getting into the Merle theme here. Double shot right there. Flying Monkeys, what's happening? And there's Vash. Thank you so much for the super chat. Kicking things off tonight. The super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. All right. Jenny's getting into Merle hard right there. Guy Calgary, what's happening? Crystal J, how are you? And let's see, Brown Dwarf. I've said you already, but that's okay. I could say it again. And let's see, Dave Walters hitting the Merle hard down in Kamloops. That's for sure. Digger Dog, Petty Van again, hitting it hard. And Monica, look at that. Merle. She's just like Merle right there. All right. Deb from SAC, thank you for the lovely super chat, my dear. Hope you're having a great evening, and thank you for your love. Let's get the radio side started, shall we? So that way we could get Bill WD-40 into the chat room to lube us up for tonight's show. You always want to go into a show nice and lubed up, nice and smooth. Just slide right into it. Slide right into it. Oh, come on, people. That's funny. Evan Walters, you're pissing me off already. And there's Twyla with a power Merle again. Jeremy Jones, what's happening? Let's see. Look at Timber Hunter. Mark here. Having wing sauce on a t-shirt, $12. Watching Dave trying to lick it off. Priceless. Yeah, I got my own wings upstairs. Moving on, you sick bastard. PGA, welcome to SOR chat. Mike Bothwell, good to see you, my man. And we got 10 seconds here. Alice Elkins, welcome to SOR chat. Silent Listen, thank you for joining us. Julie Von D, how are you? And let's see here. Mike, thank you for the super chat. Hey, everybody, guess what? Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. All right, we got a great show planned for you tonight. We got Merle for Ghosts of the Great White North here to talk about some spooky stories from Central Canada. Then in hour number 3, we are going to head to Among the Missing. Steve Stockton has a great story lined up for us to kick off the final hour. Followed that up by Little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, showing up for the UFO report. Yes, it is that time of the month once again where we welcome in our main man Merle from the Paranormal Road Trippers based out of Vancouver, British Columbia for Ghosts of the Great White North. This is a time and a place where we push the UFOs aside and we say, hello, ghosties, where are you hiding tonight? Yeah, we don't do it often, but once a month we come in with our man who comes in with some great paranormal stories for you to enjoy. Tonight, we have special guests with us. We have Kelly and Ashley from Winnipeg Paranormal Group. They are based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Their mission is to provide a service to the community who may be experiencing paranormal phenomena. Yeah, they guarantee anonymity, privacy, confidentiality, unless they want your social insurance number so they can book some credit to get some good ghost time on the other side. Let's welcome in everybody here tonight. My main man, Merle, I haven't seen you since our Las Vegas party, my man, but it's good to have you back on Ghosts of the Great White North. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dave. It's good to be back. I think this is the longest stint since 2015 that I haven't done our show. 2 months straight.
I know. Well, you know what? The Vegas thing got in the way, and then, last month, that was last month, and then this month we're back, but I think you were ill the last time, or you had something going on, but that's okay. That's okay. We got you back. That's the main thing. Did you have fun getting to know our fans in Vegas?
That Vegas trip was amazing, and the SOR fans are even more amazing, and it was really cool just to meet everyone, talk to everyone, and I can't wait for next year's. I'm already have it marked on the calendar for the month because you don't know the dates yet.
You were a popular guy there, man. You were popular. You know what? Literally, you may not believe what I say this. This may sound like I'm exaggerating, but I am not. We were getting ready to go into our VIP party lounge, And we're all waiting outside. We're all gathering outside this lounge at the Golden Nugget. And all of a sudden, the entire casino around us starts yelling, Merle, Merle. Like 50, 60 people start yelling Merle. And, it was nice to see you actually take your hat off and, tip it to the fans. And, I think you went through 6 or 7 Sharpies after signing so many autographs and everything. But, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the love, my man?
It was awesome. And it was great to put a face to a lot of the names we see in the chat room every month and to hear their story and actually have like time with them to talk versus typing every now and then on here. So it was good.
Very true. Very true. And one of your biggest fans, we got to give a shout out to Catherine in Atlanta. Mwah! We love you, Mother Catherine. And thank you for everything that you do for SOR. All right, Merle, we got a couple of special guests here from Central Canada, based out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Height unknown, weight unknown, a solid paranormal tag team ready to step into the squared circle with any ghostly encounter that wants to suit on up. Who do we got here, Merle?
We have Kelly and Ashley from Winnipeg Paranormal Group, as we said earlier, and they're based. Is Winnipeg technically Western Canada or Central? Or depends on who you talk. Central. Okay.
We are dead center of Canada.
Okay. And I'm happy we're back up talking to teams from Canada because we've been in the States quite a bit the past while. Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. I can't wait to hear some stories. And
thanks for having us.
Winnipeg's a very special place to me because that's where my family's from, and I've been there countless numbers of time and had one of my first most extreme paranormal encounters in an old historic house in St. Vital.
You know what I want to do? You know what I want to do? I want to go to Steinbach because they have the Mennonite Museum there. And literally the Mennonite Museum is all my great-great-grandfathers, my great-grandfather, my great-uncles, great-aunts, and my mother's school is in there. And a bunch of my mother's family stuff is in there. So I'm now wondering, now that my mother has passed, I'm wondering if she's there now.
Maybe.
But
you guys will have to come out there and visit us.
Oh, for sure.
I will be there next month.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, definitely let us know.
He has.
I've been talking. Yeah, we're good.
Yep, we're all set.
Awesome.
So,
Kelly, how did you get involved with the paranormal?
Oh, I've been fascinated with the paranormal since I was a kid. Always, playing with Ouija boards, tarot cards, you name it. So I always, even when I wasn't like technically involved in paranormal, because I majored in journalism, and my first reporting job was actually in Sedona, which, if you know anything about Sedona, it's like mecca of paranormal, UFOs, you name it, because you were talking about UFOs earlier. I just seem to keep falling into it. And then when I did move to Winnipeg after a few other moves, I just happened to run into the people who were actually running the Winnipeg Paranormal Group at the time. And they were like, you should be doing this with us. And the next thing I know, they were just like, you should be running this. And I was like, wait, what? What's happening here? So I just kept falling into it, so to speak.
Well, that's absolutely awesome that you've had a lifetime of it. Have you ever had an experience that just kind of put you on the back of your heels wondering, is this really worth it, Kelly?
No. No. I mean, even though I did experience something this winter, which really I didn't want to admit it was something paranormal at first. And Ashley, who's, one of my best friends, and some other people who in the spiritual community were like, yeah, this isn't good. Do you realize what's happening to you right now? And I'm like, yeah, I realized that it was one of the places that we went, and it hit me hard, and I was sick, like really, really sick for a while. And they were just like, we need to help you with this. And it did take me back, but I never questioned that if it's worth it, because it is worth it to me. It makes
All
me
right.
want to do it more.
All right. Let's say hello to Ashley Barnes from Winnipeg Paranormal, your teammate. Ashley, how did you get involved in chasing ghosts?
Well, I actually started out as a client for Winnipeg Paranormal Group. So the house I was living in 10 years ago or so had a lot of activity, and I couldn't explain it. And it was affecting me, my husband, our kids. So I reached out to Winnipeg Paranormal, and they came and did an investigation, and then did another investigation, and I just kind of stayed in touch with Kelly, and when they were looking for new investigators, I jumped on the chance. And kind of like Kelly said, where things just kind of fell into place. Teammates left, and it kind of was just me and Kelly, and
Still
you know,
is.
it still is. It's the two of us through all of it. So
Living in a haunted house, a lot, and Ashley, I want you to talk to people about this a little bit. Living in a haunted house is not normal. I've lived in one. I've worked in a haunted building. My house right now is very haunted. Merle knows that all too well. Okay, explain to people who may not understand what your family was going through. Maybe tell that story a little bit here.
well, it's hard to explain because it encompasses so much, right? Like it was affecting my son. He was only probably about a year and a half, 2 years old when the things really started to pick up. He went from being okay sleeping in the dark to wanting a nightlight. And, when drastic changes happen to your kids, you kind of start asking why. And, so it affects your sleep, it affects your mental capacity too, right? Because you start questioning yourself as to like, am I actually experiencing this? And is this real? Is this, even though my husband and I were having very similar experiences, you still question it, and it's not always a good feeling.
What did that do for you and your husband going through that? Not only your children, but because for a lot of people, when they go through something like this, it affects a relationship. It can cause a lot of arguments. It can cause a lot of paranoia. It can cause a lot of fear because, especially, I could say this as the man of my house, my job is to protect the family. And in something paranormal starts going a little haywire, I can't protect them. I mean, how did that affect you guys on a relationship level?
Luckily, we were in a good spot in our relationship, and I think it kind of brought us together a little bit more because we had the shared experiences, and we kind of played off of each other, right? We'd look at each other if we heard something, and or see something, and if the other one had it as well, then you're kind of like, okay, it's you know I don't know how he felt about not being able to protect us, but at the same time, nothing negative was really happening. We were seeing things, hearing things, feeling things, but um, we were never really hurt or attacked or anything like that. So I think we were okay.
What sorts of things were you guys seeing and hearing in the house?
There was, sorry, he just walked in here too, so he's staring at me now. Um, there was shadows, lots and lots of footsteps. We had our living room set up in the basement, and it would sound like somebody was having a dance party above our heads. We had a bloody handprint on our wall one night. I had somebody sit down on the bed beside me. We had our stereo go off a couple nights in a row. No explanation as to why. And yeah, there was lots. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, really.
I had an experience in March actually. I've never lived in a haunted house. I have some haunted objects, haunted artifacts. I've had attachments come home with me, so there's
Mhm.
never a dull moment at the inn, so to speak. But I've never lived in a haunted house. But I was visiting my friends in Spokane, and their house was built in 1896, and there's records of 5 different people dying in the house. Like, they have the actual records because we did the history. We were doing a 3-night investigation of the house, and I was in the active bedroom because, being an investigator, I'm like, nope, that's my room. And I regretted it. The first night, I'm like, this is stupid. I didn't know don't know how else to say it. I was laying in bed. I luckily had the Wi-Fi password at my friend's house, so put on some Netflix and then switch it to Disney because you're trying to clear your mind of what's going
Mhm.
on. But I heard footsteps up and down the hallway. I heard ladies talking down the hallway. I heard a door open and close. Everyone's sleeping. This was in the middle of the night, and I could see what looked like an old fashioned lamp, because those old houses, the doors, there's like an inch and a half gap from the floor to the door.
Yeah.
I could see like an old fashioned like lantern going down. I'm like, okay, that's enough. And then when I would turn over, there was this I was damned if I do in this room. And then I turned over, and there was this old chair that was a family heirloom that they said was haunted as well. It just looked creepy. It's on my Instagram. But yeah, staying in a haunted house is no joke. That's what I learned. And I can see how it can wear you down. It could make you like just exhausted,
Mhm.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't envy. That's why I like helping people, going on investigations and seeing what I can do to try and help or get some sort of answer. But then we get to go home at the end of the night, right? So
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
When you ladies go out on an investigation for Winnipeg Paranormal, what type of locations do you usually get called to, Kelly?
Um, well, we get called. I mean, we get called to a lot of homes. They're not usually big public spaces, if that's what you're asking. I mean, we do go to public spaces on occasion for events and things like that. Although the most recent one that we've been going to back and forth is actually an old nursing home, which is a pretty, I mean, when you think about it, that's a pretty crazy space anyway. There's so many people that have passed away in there. And they also used it for people who were displaced, who, had some drug issues and other things. So I can't even say how many spirits or whatever else entities are in there. It's a pretty complicated place. I don't think Ashley and I have ever experienced anything like it.
Why do you like doing residential cases where people live?
I love residential cases because like Merle said, we're helping people. Most of the people just want to know, hey, am I going crazy? If especially because we're both moms, if there's kids that are involved, we want to get in there, sooner than later, because we don't want to see kids, scared to go bed at night. I mean, that's your home. That's supposed to be your safe place. So we want to help them to make it safe again. And like you guys know, I mean, it's not like the TV shows or the movies where things are solved, in the first hour. You're usually going back and forth to these places quite a few times, or we'll go to somewhere, maybe 1 or 2 times, and then years later, something else will start up again. So, I mean, you end up developing relationships with these people.
The idea that people are going through this, how often is this happening, Kelly, where people are having ghostly encounters?
In Winnipeg, a lot. It seems like, because we're friends with, we try to network with a lot of different people, because I mean, our belief is that you can never learn too much, and if you can learn from each other and work with each other, it's, it's a fantastic way to move forward in this field. But when we talk to other people, they're just like, how many cases do you guys get? Like monthly, we could have like 2 or 3 cases at least. Just right now we have 4 going on that people want us to go to. And, so it just seems like we're always overwhelmed. And the hardest part is keeping people on a team, because, people just don't have the time, or they think it's going to be like the TV show and it's going to be like, woo, this is so much fun. But, you're staring at screens, you're listening to audio. There's a lot of work involved, and it's not, a paying job. So you have to have, the passion for it.
But hey, the television companies are coming. They're going to pick you up.
That's what they all say. They say that to us all the time. We've been there, done that.
Yeah, no kidding. Actually, I want to ask you, what makes Winnipeg, Manitoba so haunted?
You know what? Winnipeg has so much history. Besides Eastern Canada, Winnipeg was one of the first places settled heading west, right? Partly because we're the center of Canada. We also have 2 major rivers that come through the center of Winnipeg. We've got the Assiniboine and the Red. We have Indigenous history. We have there's just so much history here in Winnipeg, and I think that plays a big part on the hauntings, whether it be by the people, by the land, by things traveling through. It's just, there's so many different options that you can look at for why it's so haunted.
Tell us about that history, because for a lot of our listeners who are in the United States, they may not know how important Winnipeg was to opening up the West.
Well, let's see. My history is not that great. It was not one of my top subjects in school. But Winnipeg's been around since 1800s, late 1800s. It started out for rail. So it was used, when it was built for the railway. So we have a lot of train tracks through Winnipeg. But before that, this was all Indigenous land. So there's lots of forts, like there's Fort Gibraltar, there's Hudson's Bay Company was stationed here. There's, there's so
Louis
much.
Riel founded Manitoba.
Yes, exactly.
Red River
Louis Riel's
settlement. Yeah.
Louis Riel's grave is here in Winnipeg as well, too, at the St. Boniface Museum. So there's so much to even just start talking about it. You really can't. It's Manitoba is still digging into its own history.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, I'll tell you, I was in Manitoba really quickly for a weekend last year, and I'm going to steal my friend Jake's term. There's a lot of haunt porn in Manitoba, a lot of old buildings that are absolutely beautiful and kept up. And then when you come to even homes, old Victorian style homes, they're all like, it's like going in a time machine. You guys even have like 50s burger stands.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you come to Vancouver, all of that's wiped out, and it's all like square cement buildings.
That's happening in Winnipeg too, unfortunately. A lot of the beautiful old buildings are just being torn down, or they're keeping the front facade of it and building a brand new building behind it.
Like the Vaughan Street Jail. Like they're
or they're going into disrepair where
they're really hoping that they can keep it. I mean, it has such a rich history, and it's falling apart. And the public gets to go in there once a year for doors open, and that's it.
Ashley, Kelly, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Merle, we're going to step away for our first break of the show tonight. It's Ghosts of the Great White North. We are having a great time with Winnipeg Paranormal group members Ashley and Kelly, talking about the hauntings of Central Canada. We'll get into some of their favorite ghost investigations and stories when we return on the show. Hey, sometimes you got to get a little ghostly around here, which is exactly what we are doing tonight. Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man Merle returns right after this. Yes, Max Stacks. Dave does need a Dairy Queen strawberry shake. You guys can join me if you want. Sandra, it's your birthday, so you get it right now.
Oh, are we supposed to sing?
Happy
Oh, no.
birthday to you.
I'm a horrible
Happy
singer.
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sandra. Happy birthday to you.
Yay.
There you go, Sandra. Do it for all our listeners. There we go. All right, now that it's over, Mr. Cowley, ba ba ba. Welcome back to the show. Ta-da. Oh, Mr. Cowley, ba ba ba. Loves his spaced out radio. There we
You're on
go.
fire.
Yeah, I'm on
I
fire.
know.
Right now.
Wow.
Hey, Dave,
First-
I will be doing our next show next month remotely from Manitoba.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Hi, amazing Nicole Sackage, Thurston Howell III. Say hello to Lovey for us. Joey Zed. And who else is showing up here? The lovely and talented Amber Dawn Glover, who was partying in Vegreville last weekend, my dad's hometown. Zune, how you doing? And we are caught up there. And MERLE Q. Nobody caught on to the MERLE Q. I thought
I
that was
did. I just chose not to say anything. Is that like barbecue or like Susie Q?
like curly Q.
Who's Curly Q?
You know the curly Qs that they used to put in your hair, or Dairy Queen puts the curly Q on the top of an ice cream cone.
You're really wanting Dairy Queen right now, eh?
No kidding.
Is there ever a bad time for Dairy Queen, though?
Never.
All right. Here we go. The second half hour name, Tilt-A-Merle. Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I liked about Vegas. The listeners had a lot of original Merle names.
Yeah.
We should have wrote them
Trouser
down.
Meat. How you doing, buddy?
I'll be right back.
All right. So, how you doing?
Hey, I wanted to ask you, have you interviewed the ufologist here?
Which one, Grant or Chris?
Chris.
I was talking to Chris on the phone earlier today.
You were?
Yeah.
Did you tell him that I was coming on? And Ashley?
No, did I talk to him today? No, I talked to him yesterday. I was texting with him today.
He's a good friend of mine.
Chris is amazing. I like Chris.
He helped me a lot when I first started working with the group.
Thank you, Sandra, for that wonderful super chat. Very much appreciate it. Yeah. Grant Cameron is my absolute idol in the field. Another good Winnipeg boy. Love me some Grant. I got his woo, man. He got my woo. By the way, if you want something to investigate way up north, way up north, find the crash site. That's all I'm going to say. Find the crash site.
Which crash site?
Are we talking in Manitoba?
Yeah.
Oh, Falcon?
No.
No?
That wasn't a crash.
No, it wasn't a crash.
Crash site.
There was evidence there, but that's not the one. Apparently, there's another one. Find the crash site. And report back to me.
Okay.
It's too cold to go look up north in Manitoba.
It's
Who
like-
does that?
It's always cool. Although,
Be careful when you go up north. There's a whole lot of nothing.
you know what? I mean, at least Manitoba's not the only one with snow in June, though. Alberta got snow, what, 2 nights ago?
So did we on one
Hold
of
on,
our
guys.
past. Yep. Oh, back.
Hold on,
Oh,
guys.
man.
Thank you to Vashti Impaler, Deb, Mike, Vaughn, and Sandra for the great super chats. Don't forget to hit subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and do some shopping on our website at our store. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for letting us earn your listening ears. Reminder that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Let's do this thing, shall we? We got our main man Merle here from the Paranormal Road Trippers, based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and we are talking with Ashley and Kelly from Winnipeg Paranormal and Ghosts of Central Canada. That is our topic tonight. Merle and ladies, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Where do you want to take this, Merle?
Ouija boards, since I keep staring at them. Have you used any of those? And what's your thoughts on them as a paranormal team?
We're careful just because a lot of people are really scared of Ouija boards. And I was actually, Dave, I was watching one of your shows from the other night, and the professor had said, never use Ouija boards. And you're like, wait a minute, hold on a minute. Because it just, like, there's a history with Ouija boards. And I think that if people don't really understand the history of Ouija boards, they just know about the media. They know about The Exorcist, and of course Witchboard, which set out all the rules for everybody, right? I mean, the whole history wasn't based upon somebody trying to find the devil. I mean, it was based on more of people, having dates and being able to touch when you weren't allowed to touch back in those days. Because you would sit next to each other and be like, ooh, oh my gosh, I touched his finger in his hand. And, so, I mean, it has, if you understand the history, and we do communicate through other things. Nobody thinks twice about using crystals or the Ghost Box, which is one of my favorites, or even apps on our phone. And we can communicate, and we can bring, dangerous spirits through anything else, just the same as a Ouija board. And I know that everybody has a story. I have a story of when I was young and something bad happened, with a Ouija board. But when you're young, you're usually young and dumb, right? So they say you don't know what you're doing when you're a kid. And of course, something bad would happen because, you have no idea what you're doing. And they were sold as games. So a lot of people as kids had them. So now, when we use them, we always, even if we're doing a public event, we're careful. We explain things to people. We say, if you don't want to use it, that's fine. But we do use it. Ashley and I do use them on investigations.
Cool. I'm pro Ouija board. I'm very vocal about that too, because I know people they crap their pants when you bring out or talk about Ouija boards, but then in the next breath they say, "Can I use your spirit box?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, a spirit box or a Ouija board is basically the analog version of a spirit box. It's just more modern.
Yeah, it totally is. But movies really they freaked people out, and I'm Hey, I'm the first one. I love those movies. So,
Yes.
and I've actually spoken to Linda Blair about all that stuff. And, I mean, it was a big thing back then. And it freaked people out. And so everybody just associated Ouija boards with all that stuff.
I've started using a Victorian automatic writing planchette on investigations.
Oh,
I'm gonna bring it to Winnipeg.
Please do.
yeah,
So,
that's so exciting.
I find we won't talk about gear too much, but I find that gives you some really weird answers using the automatic writing planchette, because you do it alone. We do it with a blindfold on, and the symbols or pictures it draws, like, you have no clue what you're doing. You're just kind of, or even words or letters when you're asking the questions. It's quite bizarre.
That sounds wild. I can't
We've
wait.
been doing a lot of research with that, yeah. But what's your Ouija story? Everyone has a Ouija story. Let's hear them. It's Ouija time.
Well, mine was when I was a kid. I actually grew up. I'm actually from the United States. I grew up in New England, which, as you know, there's a lot of history and very old homes. And it was a bunch of us, in an attic of a really big old like Victorian home, and we crapped our pants, right? Like stuff happened, like the Ouija board started moving and we just all started freaking out. And I remember we all had to call our parents and we had to go home. And I grew up in a Catholic home, and I got a talking to from my dad. He's like, you opened a door that you can't close. And, he just went on and on and on. And I mean, it didn't stop me, of course. It just made me want to. I was always rebellious, right? So I'm just like, oh, well, all right. But yeah, I mean, it did scare me, but I mean, it didn't stop me. So.
How about you, Ashley? Have you
I've used them. Like, I mean, I think every kid does, right? So, yeah, but I never had any crazy experiences with them growing up. I think the best story is actually my mom's.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for like 10 years. My mom's pro what I do. She believes in what I do. And it wasn't until her sister passed away that my cousin came to me and he's like, "Oh, so I heard what you did. You do, right? Like, has your mom ever told you the story about what happened at her mom's cabin?" And I'm like, No. He's like, "Oh, well, we were playing with a Ouija board." And I'm like, so he continues to tell me the story, and basically, they were playing and the glass went shooting across the board onto the other side of the room. And I just went to my mom and I'm like, "Really? Like, I've been doing this for so long and you never bothered to tell me this story? Like, what?" She's like, "Oh, I just totally forgot about that." I'm like,
Yeah.
"How do you forget about a glass going shooting across the room?"
Wow.
But people do forget. We've interviewed, because we always interview people before we go into their homes, just to ask the standard questions and their history and things like that, and kind of feel them out to see if there's something else going on. But we've encountered clients who are just like, "Oh, yeah, right. There was this whole incident with the Ouija board, and we had to call in a priest, and like windows broke." And I'm like, how could you forget about something like that? That's really substantial. You should have started with that. And now we can really dig in to find out what's really going on in your house.
Yeah, I've told the story before, but my first Ouija encounter was the board spelled. I was with my friends. This was probably circa grade 10, so 97, 98, or sorry, 96. And the board spelled white pit bull. My friend asked, they said, "What's my worst fear?" And then it spelled that. Then the whole class said, "No, you were moving it. You were moving it happened." And then about an hour later, we go walk to 7-Eleven. It's summertime. Go get some Slurpees. And while we're walking there, a white pit bull came out of nowhere and actually cornered our friend.
Wow.
And then it was barking and kind of snapping at him, and then it just went away. I walked away. Coincidence? I don't know, but it's kind of weird.
There are no coincidences.
No. But being one paranormal team to another, you were talking about how you vet your clients.
Mhm.
What's your process of doing that? Because I know when I talk to a lot of my clients or our clients out here, they're really weary to open up to us because like we have a whole little questionnaire,
Mhm.
and we've had to really tighten it up because we had an occasion where we were a little relaxed with our questionnaire, and when we got there, they thought it was a psychic party. All their neighbors were there drinking, and they're like, "Oh, the paranormal team's here,"
Oh
and
no.
they thought we were going to be performing.
No, I believe it. We do have a questionnaire that we actually got from another paranormal team. They had lent it to us, and we do ask questions that and it's not like they're necessarily always going to tell you the truth, but I mean, we do ask about history. Is there a history of this in your family? And then we also ask about any illnesses related to like if they're taking any medications that could cause hallucinations and things like that. And we're pretty serious with them when we first meet them and tell them, like, these are our rules. This is how it's going to be. If you don't like it, then because we have shown up to one place and they had their kids there, and we're like, nope, we're not doing this. We can't have kids here. We prefer, there's no animals here, but we're pretty strict because you don't know what you're walking into. And when you're interviewing people, I think it helped that I was a reporter for a while, just to kind of feel people out, because sometimes you're just like, oh, there's something else going on, or they're just wanting like the party, right?
Yeah.
They're wanting a fun party, or they just want attention. I mean, sometimes we feel like social workers.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
The idea that you guys are out there looking for ghosts and looking for life after death, what is the goal of your group when it comes to solving some of these mysteries? Please don't say science.
There we go.
No, I mean, it can't be science because we can't replicate what's going on.
This is the part of the show where I get nervous depending on the answer, because that's the way it'll depict where Dave goes.
No, I mean, we have free will as humans, so how can we expect that these spirits and entities wouldn't have free will of their own, right? I mean, you can't go with science. As much as we try and base what we do on scientific techniques to a point, right? Using different equipment and things like that.
Yeah.
Kelly and I definitely are strong believers in you have to follow your gut. You have to
Instincts.
Go with what you're feeling and believe it.
Yeah. And I think because we've worked with so many other people through the years,
Kelly, I'm going to get you to move up a little bit closer to your mic.
Sorry, I'm mumbling.
It's getting late here.
I said, I think because we've also worked with so many different people too, that's helped us as well. We get different tips and we see how other people work, and we're like, that's along the lines of how we think and we want to approach things as well. That's why I believe it's really crucial to be able to work with others in this field, despite what some people think.
Good.
I was gonna say, you bit Dave's hook with that one.
Well, I mean, there's egos, right? So
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this because there's a few things that bug me about the paranormal. Okay, number one, when a team says that they are conducting scientific investigation when you know they haven't done a scientific experiment since probably grade 10 or 11 in high school.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, Merle loves this part. My audience loves this. Is when you look on their web page and they have a team skeptic, and he's always posed with his arms closed on a name like this, looking down. Right? Like, to me, it makes a mockery of the field. It's like people who call Sasquatch Squatch. I know I can't take you seriously if you're out squatching.
Mhm.
You know,
I've never heard that.
right? And you just learn all of this little stuff when you do this, as long as I have now.
Yeah.
But the idea though that you're helping people, that is the key, is to try and bring some sort of peace to someone's house.
Mhm.
Tell us about a case, Ashley, that's really stuck with you.
There's been lots.
Well, we need one.
Maybe two.
Okay, let's go with so a couple years ago we had a case. It was a single father. He lived on his own with his 2 daughters, I believe it was. Yep, 2 daughters. And when you met this guy, he didn't come off I don't know how to say it. he was a biker. Let's just put it that way, right? Like he admitted he was part of a biker group, followed, and he acted like it too. He was big,
Motorcycle
burly,
enthusiast.
motorcycle enthusiast. That's a good word for it. But he came to us because his daughters were starting to say that they were having experiences, and he was having experiences, but he was really nervous to say anything about it because, being a motorcycle enthusiast, he didn't think that he'd be taken seriously, and he didn't know how he would be perceived in his group. But we worked with him. We did, I think, 2 or 3 investigations at his house, and it ended up that it wasn't so much the house as it was him. So we got him set up with one of our medium friends, and he started working with him remotely to try and learn how to be able to close off, when he wanted to close off, or open up when he needed to open up. And just the change in him over those, between the investigations and the remote stuff, and it was amazing to be able to see this big tough guy who didn't want to show anything to this guy who was sitting beside us like our best friend, having a cup of coffee, and thank you so much, and getting to see the softer side of him because he didn't have to be a protector anymore.
What sorts of things were happening in the house for him?
Lots of shadows, footsteps. His daughter was having things in her room that would prevent her from sleeping. But a lot of it was more centered around him. So when he fell asleep, he'd start having vivid dreams. He would, he'd wake up in cold sweats. Different things like that, and he didn't know how to really handle himself with all this. So,
do you think it could be something like an attachment, or something he saw or did, or had something follow him?
That was our initial thought, was that it could be an attachment. And we do believe that he had one, and we helped him learn how to cross it over. But he was still having things come to him basically in his dreams saying, I need help, help me. Wow. So like I said, with the work of our medium, they were able to help him learn how to use his gift and when he wanted to use it.
That's interesting. How about you, Kelly? What stands out for you?
Ashley's house. I think that because it was like it was early on when I was investigating and I was questioning myself. I'm like, oh, what am I doing here? Am I really doing this? Like, is this for real? Like I had this belief, but I'm just like, I don't know. And then all of the stuff started shutting down. We didn't have that much equipment back then, and a lot of stuff was like on batteries, and uh, just all hell broke loose. Like one of the investigators behind me started hyperventilating. I was just like, "What's going on?" And he couldn't even breathe. And then I looked up, and this is like in her house, in the bedroom that she was talking about, where she felt like something laid down beside her. I saw smoke, like a cloud, and all I can think of is Poltergeist, when you see that, that part when the cloud is going up into the ceiling. That's what I saw, and I was just standing there, just like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was like, "Holy!" Can I swear?
Wow. No.
Holy crap! I was like, "Holy crap!" But I was just I was blown away, and I was just like, "Is anybody else seeing this?" But another person was experienced being touched at the same time, and I ran and got my phone. I just started taking pictures, and then later on, I went through the pictures, and then I saw what was. It looked like an outline of like a little girl standing on the bed. And I was like, okay, this is, I mean,
Just got real.
yeah, it totally got real. And ever since then, and then of course, Ashley can probably agree with me on this, is the house on Collegiate, which
Oh yeah.
that was the first time we both we were both sick, and something felt like it was just attacking us in there.
Ooh, walk me through that investigation.
It's 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay. We weren't that bright when we went in there because we didn't think anything of it. It just seemed like a harmless. I don't know.
They sent us a baby camera video, and it just looked like dust.
Yeah, we just weren't even. We didn't protect ourselves when we went in there. Bad mistake. We'll never do that again. But we went in there, and all of a sudden we just started. She started feeling sick. I started feeling sick. It felt like something grabbed hold onto us. Like I had to actually like walk out of the house for a few minutes to make it stop. We were just blown away. We're just like, what the hell is happening in this house? And we did contact a medium. That was the first time. And she had actually, I tested her. I told her nothing about the case. And she described one of the places, the exact place where it felt like you walk into, and I know that you understand what I'm talking about, when you walk into, you're walking in a space and all of a sudden it feels like you hit a wall, like you can't keep walking. You're just like, what the hell is going on here? And she said, there's something right in this space. And she pinpointed the exact space. And we found out that someone was very ill who had died there, and they were very ill and they were stuck there. But the people who own the house were scared by that point, and they didn't want us to do anything else. They ended up moving out.
Fair enough.
And it really goes to show that some people cannot handle it. They cannot handle what is going on, and no matter how hard you try to calm them down, it's just not going to work, Kelly.
Yeah. It was a like you said, it just got real. We were like, we're really dealing with some serious stuff.
And on that note, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there, because we are already through 1 hour. Spaced out.
Wow.
Fast.
Yeah, we are. We are cruising fast. We're in fifth gear. We're going to shift it down to sixth here coming on up, where we get into more ghostly stories with Ashley Barnes and Kelly Parent-Smith from Winnipeg Paranormal, Winnipeg, Manitoba, home of the Jets, the Bombers, and the Mosquitoes. The Mosquitoes are massive there. The Canadian Air Force is based in Winnipeg. Thank you to the Mosquitoes. With our main man Merle continues in hour number 2 right after this. Stay tuned. We will be right back. All right, we are clear.
Cool.
Yep.
Clear for takeoff.
Thank you, NorCal, for that great super chat.
I agree. Thank you.
Good morning, Commonwealth Andrew.
From the Commonwealth. Is he from
He's from
Australia?
London.
London. Okay.
London.
Wow.
Mhm.
Can I hear your English accent again, Dave? That was good.
London. I
All
don't
right.
have a British accent. You
No,
Momo.
you don't. I was just putting it in.
You guys chat. I'll be right back. Merle's hurt my feelings.
Sure.
I have a habit of doing that.
So are you coming in July?
I am. I'm coming
Awesome.
13th to the 20th.
Awesome.
It's a family visit, but if
Okay.
y'all have an investigation or if you want to meet up, I
Okay.
already told my family I need to see the paranormal team. So
Yay.
I can come on a side mission.
Awesome. We have some spaces.
Yeah.
Actually, we could probably bring them out to that space that does the Bring the Love concert.
The love concert.
Yeah, that's those people that I met like a couple of weeks ago. But they have an old house and a big
Oh, okay.
so we
Okay.
could probably do that. Because they were waiting for the ticks to die down.
Yeah.
This is the mosquitoes.
Their
It's
problems.
I was also thinking if that doesn't work, then maybe Justin and Wendy can get us into the nursing home.
I would be down for anything. See, I'm like you guys. I love meeting new teams. I love hanging out with new investigators and learning.
Yeah.
We've all been doing it forever, but I don't know everything. I just keep wanting to learn.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much you can learn from other teams, like whether it's just investigative style or techniques or equipment or.
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
yeah, you can tell pretty quick if teams want to work with other teams or not. I've noticed, especially out here, there's a lot of teams now. In
Yeah.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
We're still, I mean, there's, I don't know, there's groups here, but we're really the primary. Yeah,
And they don't want to talk to us.
yeah.
You know the
They're like, oh, hey,
feeling.
you've been here for 10 years or 15 years or I don't even know how long we've been.
Since 2008.
There we go.
Yeah, no, I know the exact feeling y'all feel.
It's so weird. I'm just like, is he running away from us?
I do a lot of investigating in the States. I'm in Washington and Oregon, probably as much as I investigate in
Nice.
BC.
Nice.
Oh, that's great.
I've got a big road trip coming up in August. We're going to Spokane, meet up with my friends there, and we're investigating like 4 or 5 different places out there. And
Oh, that's awesome.
we do a lot of documentaries. Like on our YouTube page, we that's what we do. We love to go to places,
That's awesome.
tell the history,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
instead of going into these places and being like, bro, knock 3 times if you're here. We like to talk to the people that used to live there.
Yeah.
In the investigations, and that's kind of like the paranormal road trip is my team shtick. Is we like to connect history with the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like
we like-
to do more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we do a little bit of that. Like we work with a lot of the local museums here for
That's
public
awesome.
events. And we always try and make sure that part of the event is about the history of the location.
I'd love to. Last time I was in Manitoba, I went and looked at Louis Riel's house. Like I'm Métis, and that's kind of was cool just to see. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. When I go out to visit my family in Massachusetts, I try and meet up with people or investigate.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
There's a house in the one I was talking about earlier in Saint Vital where I had my experience. Man, I would love to investigate that house. It was one of the most terrifying experiences I've had. The listeners have heard this a million times. So I'll just say it on the YouTube part too. But my cousin lived in a historic house, and we were walking to the store. I'm like, dude, you didn't lock your door. And he's like, don't worry about it. My friends look after the house. I'm like, all right. And that night, when I was going to bed, I was sleeping on the main floor. They were on the top, like my cousin and his girlfriend were on the top floor. And then their basement looked straight out of The Conjuring, like all the cobblestone walls and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I heard these loud footsteps coming up the stairs, like steel toe boots. And the door slammed open. And I heard all the footsteps all over their old kitchen. Then I went back downstairs and the door slammed, and it was happening over and over and over again. So I finally built up the fortitude to go look what was going on.
Mhm.
And I saw the door open. I could hear the footsteps in front of me, but obviously couldn't see the person. And it walked right towards me. Then I went back downstairs and the door closed. And if I had a vehicle, I would have been out of there so fast.
You should show us the house.
Yeah, I can get the address from my cousin, because when I was there last year, we drove by it. I'm like, that's the house. And when in the morning, I'm like,
guys.
oh, we're done. Okay.
Yeah, we're done. Thank you, Vash, NorCal, Deb, Mike, Vaughn, and Sandra for the great super chats. Very much appreciate the love. And don't forget, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell, as we do Ghost of the Great White North every month. And get your SOR swag, including your Merle t-shirts, at spacedoutradio.com. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Let's kick off the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight, talking some ghosts with Merle and friends. Thank you so much for tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Talionic. Talionic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with Ghosts of the Great White North. Our main man, Merle, from the Paranormal Road Trippers, is back for his monthly edition of talking about all the spookiness happening around the world. And tonight, our special guest, Kelly Parent-Smith, Ashley Barnes from Winnipeg Paranormal out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Merle, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave. North America. It's a good one. We haven't used that yet.
Are we doing a show here, or are we just hanging out doing a podcast?
I'm admiring your name choice, Dave.
I hear you, but our radio audience doesn't get that.
No, they don't. Attachments. Have you guys had them, and what's your thoughts on them?
I've had one.
Let's start with you, Ashley.
Actually, it was from the collegiate house. Again, because we didn't protect ourselves, silly us. It started off really simple. I was driving home and I had my hair pulled up in a ponytail, and I could feel something playing with the hairs on the back of my neck on the way home. Again, being new and naive, I thought it would just kind of go away. And it didn't. It decided to hang out with me for about 2 weeks. It started to actually change my personality. So I am an extroverted introvert. So if I'm really comfortable with you, I will talk your ear off. Otherwise, I'm pretty quiet and reserved. And we had done this investigation around my birthday. And so I had had all my family come over for a party, and I couldn't figure out why, but I was essentially, I would move wherever there was nobody. And like family is everything to me. Family is number one. It's so important, and I love spending time with my family. So if they would come inside, I'd go out. And if they would go outside, I'd come in. And I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And then I talked to our medium friend, and he's like, "Well, yeah, you have something attached to you. Like, why didn't you talk to me sooner? What's why are you dealing with this on your own?" But yeah, it took a while. It took some saging. It took some crystals. It took a lot of just self meditation and talking to myself, saying, "This isn't me. I need me back. You have to let go. You have to walk away."
Now, was it oppressing you, or do you even know what it was or who it could have been from what was the Collegiate House, or is?
We're not totally sure because we didn't get to go back and really delve deeper into it. We just got the one investigation. And then they were like, no, like, we don't want to disturb anything else. We don't want anything to happen. So, we're just leaving it as is. So I'm not sure what it was. But it was definitely oppressing me. Like it was changing who I was. And I didn't like that.
No, for sure. And how long did it take to get rid of? Like, attachments terrify me because I've had one and it was with me for a couple of years.
It probably took a good week of being like aware of the situation and working on it every day for it to finally just kind of release.
And Gilly, how about you? Have you ever experienced the attachment?
Well, like I was saying earlier, when we went into the nursing home, I don't remember what time was that, like the second or third time, maybe?
It started the second time, I think.
And as soon as I went in there, because I felt fine, but as soon as I went in there, I started feeling sick, and I'm like, that's weird. Maybe I'm coming down with something. And like the next day, I was like deathly sick. And it wouldn't let go. I was sick for over a month, and I was having horrific nightmares about Mayfair, maybe for like two or so weeks. And I remember just, rocking back and forth in my bed, just saying, let go. I know that there's something here. You need to let go. And, it was really scary because in the back of my mind, I knew that was what was going on, but I also didn't want to completely admit it until everybody was just like, yeah, this is from the nursing home. Like, what do you think? And it just wore me down so much that I just my whole immune system was shot. Like, I kept getting sick after that for a while. Like, this winter sucked because of that, that one investigation. And I was bound and determined when something like that happens to me, I was like, I'm going back in there and I'm going to protect myself, and I'm going to tell it, like, whatever that was, you cannot beat me, and we're in here to, help whatever is going on. Like, I think it made me furious that happened.
Yeah, attachments are no joke. What do you do to deter, or how do you protect yourself?
Well, I mean, I smudge constantly. And I'm a single mom, but I have 3 kids, and we all smudge. They've grown up smudging because of that, because of me. And well, we've had some experiences in this house as well. But we also, like, Ashley and I tend to wear something that's meaningful or spiritual when we go into places. And we do consult, friends of ours who are mediums or witches, and I'm always talking to people like that are friends of mine and that I trust. And I say, this is what's going on right now. What do you suggest, I do to protect myself on this particular case? Because there's definitely something more going on here. So, yeah, I mean, I have herbs everywhere, and I tend to gather more and more as we investigate more as we go on. I think Ashley and I are just like, okay, oh, yeah. And then we get these, actually, we get tattoos.
Oh, cool.
And it's a protection against negative energies.
That's really neat.
When
Mhm.
you go out on an investigation, Ashley and Kelly, do you say a prayer? Do you protect yourself in order to before the investigation? So you do have some sort of limits of what happens. I find that when I go out in the forest or I go to a paranormal location, I'm trying to protect myself as much as possible. For people who've never done that, how do you walk into an investigation?
Well, I'm not religious, so I don't do prayer. Um, but I talk to my grandmother, who has passed, and I ask her to protect me. Um, and then, like Kelly said, we wear crystals, we have our tattoos. So not necessarily prayer, but definitely always ask for help in protecting us from someone or something.
Mhm. I definitely use a white light, and I can feel guides, or however you want to phrase it, going in with me when I go into places.
Do you ever get scared, Kelly? You've done this long enough where, I mean, for a lot of people, there's still a fear factor that goes along with it. How about for you?
Um, it's weird. I mean, it's not like the scare factor of. I mean, I like scary movies, as you can tell behind me, but it's a different kind of. It's an exhilarating fear, because you're like, oh, that was that was frightening, but it also at the same time it challenges me. I like I was saying, when that attachment happened. I mean, I should be. Most people would probably run the other way if something got them that sick that it was detrimental to their health. But I was like, no, this is a challenge. Like, you cannot beat me, because I don't want to be vulnerable. I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, there have been places where we were just, somewhat frightened, but we're not big on the whole naming everything as demons. We also believe that, if there's something that may be upset at a place, we don't necessarily think it's a demon. It could be something that just really happened that was awful, and the spirit just needs help.
Mhm.
I mean, seriously, if something horrible happened to you, if you had a horrific death, you'd still want help.
I also find with spirits, if they were cranky when they were alive, they're probably most likely cranky if they're still earthbound spirits.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially if you're dealing with spirits from different time periods, like for you guys, 1700s, 1800s, they're not going to be overly impressed with all these people with all these weird toys coming in their house unannounced.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing, like for me, what I do for protection, and this is more of a new method, is before the investigation, I'll meet, if we're doing a historic location, I'll meet with a property manager or the client, and I'll have them walk me through the house and introduce me.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Because that way the spirits are with somebody they trust and see every day.
Mhm.
And them introducing you, I think, gives you the hall pass of randomly showing up at 10:30 at night with a bunch of cases full of things that buzz.
Yeah.
I like that.
And ever since I've been doing that, because I used to, Dave can attest to this. I've been choked. I've been scratched. I had a 2-year attachment from the 108 mile, or from up by Dave's house, and ever since I've been doing the intro, it's been smooth sailing. Knock on wood. I just think it's a respect factor, because it's a big thing we need to do more in the field is respect.
Definitely.
I mean, Kelly and I always introduce ourselves when we go on investigations, but we've never had like the homeowner introduce us, which
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have them run through what we're going to do and what to expect. Like, this is Mike, he's here, he's gonna come have a chat with you, and yeah, it's and we've been getting a lot more evidence EVP wise. It's like they're more willing to speak because they trust us.
Okay.
So
That's a
Do
great
either of you ladies know or think that the paranormal is tied to UFOs and other parts of the phenomena?
I think paranormal encompasses all of that. I think that people, a lot of times when people say paranormal, all they think is ghosts. And my belief is that it's all under the same umbrella. But we do, like we were talking earlier about Chris, we do work with Chris because we do get people that contact us about what they believe are UFO experiences, and sometimes it can cross over. I believe it can cross over. I mean, people do have experiences in their homes, and they're not sure if it's out of this world or if something else is going on, or it's multidimensional, or I mean, we still don't completely understand everything. That's why it's so great to work with others to try and to figure all of these things out. And Chris Sarkowski he's amazing. I love him. He's a good friend of mine, but I mean, he's helped me out a lot on different cases. And I've actually helped him with because he gathers all the evidence from reports that come across Canada. I've helped him with a lot of those reports. So, I mean, it's definitely opened my eyes to what may or may not be going on. Does that answer your question? That was a really long answer.
I think it does, because so many times we have people in these fields that are so secular in what they are doing that they're not trying to combine the entire mystery. Not saying that that's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, but that's their focus and attention, But I think more people are coming around that, UFOs are tied to ghosts, which are tied to cryptids, which are tied to near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences and astral travel, remote viewing, psychic intuition, consciousness, and everything in between.
Yeah. And we still don't know, like, if those are just our ancestors, if they were here first before us, and it's actually somebody who's related to us. I mean, as I mentioned before, I lived in Sedona. And there's a firm belief, and I've talked to lots of people that they have another race of people living amongst them, and they're very serious, and they're not like people will be like, oh, well, those are all the crazy people. No, these are people who are business owners and upstanding people in the community. And they said, yep, these are people that are living with us in our community. I've met them.
Awesome. We got about 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break. At the bottom of the hour goes to the Great White North, continues on here. Ashley, for you, what's the scariest encounter you've had with a ghost or spirit?
That's a tough one. I mean, it would probably be between two of the cases that we've already talked about. So the one would be collegiate, where Kelly and I both got physically sick. And then the other one would be the investigation with the motorcycle enthusiast. So at one point with that, I had left the group. I can't remember why, but I was coming back upstairs, and I got to the second floor, and I was frozen. I couldn't move. And it just felt like there was something kind of circling me. And that is the creepiest, uncomfortable, it's not something I wish on anybody. Like, yeah, I couldn't move. I called up to one of our other team members and asked him to come down and help me, because I was stuck. I could not move. I was frozen. So
What's it like to be paralyzed by fear?
it wasn't even fear. I just could not move. My body was not moving. It was like something was holding me there. I don't know. It's one of the strangest feelings, because I wanted to move. I tried to move. I wanted to go upstairs to the rest of the group, but I couldn't.
It's fear. I've had that too. You're frozen. You're like a deer in headlights. But yeah, how about you, Kelly? What's your most scariest encounter?
I'd probably say collegiate as well, just because it was in the beginning. So I didn't know how much it could affect you physically. I mean, you see a lot of movies, but you're just like, yeah, that's not real. And that's when we were like, yeah, this is pretty real. This is pretty scary. Like I felt like I was going to throw up, and it felt like something was just hugging me like really hard and just holding me in place. And I was just like, what is happening to me? Yeah, it was really frightening. And that's why I walked out of the house to just meditate and talk to myself and talk to whatever was trying to grab hold of me. And then I went back in, and, we experienced more stuff that we had never experienced before. And I think that's why it was so scary, because it was just, okay, this is for real. Like, this stuff really happens. We're like, oh yeah, that's why we're supposed to protect ourselves. I remember contacting my medium friend. He's like, what were you thinking? He was like yelling at me while I'm in the house. I'm like, you can yell at me later. Tell me what to do right now, He just kind of walked me through everything I had to do.
Yeah, one of the most terrifying experiences I had, I don't think I've shared this story before, is I was at this ranch in Vernon, British Columbia. And the team, this was one of my first historic locations, and I was eager at the time. So I was the first one to go in. And the team that I was with were still walking up the front patio stairs. And the door slammed once I was in. No word of a lie. It locked. I heard it click. And the groundskeeper had unlocked it for us, so we didn't have the keys. The guys I was with didn't have the keys. And I'm panicking because it's dark and I'm the only one in there. And I've heard the stories of this house. So I'm like, oh, great, I'm dead. And,
oh, no.
And then so I'm panicking. I could hear them panicking because they're like, open the door. You did that on purpose. But I couldn't have because of the way the door opened. And all of a sudden we heard the click because it was the skeleton key that locked, not the actual deadbolt. And like the old, and then it just opened when I'd stepped back. It was like right out of a movie.
Wow.
And I questioned being a paranormal investigator after that, but I'm like, well, this is what you wanted, wasn't it?
Right. What am I doing?
Yeah. And that's one big thing about our field. It's no joke. People they like the scare factor, but there's always an outcome to it. Yeah. Be it you're affected mentally, physically, someone follows you, or it's just too much.
Yeah. I mean, in real life, it's a lot different in real life. You're just like, yeah, it isn't a joke. It's not like the movie is at all, because you're just like, this is affecting everybody. And I mean, we have families, and they're going to be affected, of course, by our behaviors and what else is going on. And, if we're sick or anything,
And on that note, we got the crew for another half an hour on Spaced Out Radio. We are halfway done tonight. on Ghosts of the Great White North with our main man Merle and Kelly and Ashley from Winnipeg. Paranormal Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Stay tuned.
This is flying by.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Merle, when you come, I feel like we're just going to be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so you actually wanted to see your family while you were here?
We'll see. They can babysit my daughter, and we can go ghost hunt every day. Yeah, no, yes, it'll be investigation time. They're aware. They're aware of my habits and hobbies, and that
Awesome.
I'm allowed to do that. So
That's good. That's a hard thing to do.
mhm.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
single, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
yeah, I could say I've never investigated in Manitoba, so this will be cool. But yeah. Is that a good time, or is it going to be really hot there?
It's always hot in Manitoba
Yeah,
in the summer.
it's really hot lately.
I collect Victorian antiques and photos and like things like that. And there's this one big antique store in Manitoba I went to and absolutely ransacked of their photos because they were cheap. I got talking to him, and he says that it's extremely haunted. He says it's the only antique store. It's like an old building. It's
There's
in-
lots of antique stores in Winnipeg.
Oh God! So basically, I'm antiquing and ghost hunting. That's all I'm doing.
We did investigate the antique store in the Forks.
Oh, the Forks, yeah, that.
I love items that could potentially have attachments or energy, because that's one thing like my team likes to do. We love to investigate haunted objects.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Do you do urban exploring at all, or?
we do. Yep.
I love doing that.
Yeah. That's when you can stumble across some pretty creepy things. So.
Yeah, you never know.
Dave's brought me to some cool places up in his neck of the woods.
Awesome.
That's where I live. Middle of nowhere.
The woods.
The woods.
Yeah, he's about 5.5 hours north of where I am.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. How's the weather up there, Dave?
It is nice, Merle.
Thank you.
What's
It's
the
nice.
temperature?
Right now. Hold on. Right now, it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 Celsius. It's supposed to rain tonight.
We got
23
just-
tomorrow, 24 Friday.
Yesterday was like 40, 43, 44 Celsius.
Celsius.
The humidity, like
Yeah,
it was
gross.
nuts yesterday, and that's been most of June.
That's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
Yeah,
But like Texas.
that's normally August weather, like, and we've been getting it in end of May, beginning of June. Well, now the end of June. Like it's been really weird weather here.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, when it gets to the 40s here, towns burn down here.
Yeah.
Where do
Yeah.
you guys want to take it the next half hour? We got 1.5 hour left.
I don't know.
Huh.
I still want to hear some ghost stories. You really haven't told us any ghost stories yet.
Let's jump into them. The haunted Winnipeg.
Haunted Peg.
The Peg.
What, ectoplasm isn't haunted at all?
Yeah, just over a minute.
Dave, were you talking about the crash where the U.S. jets shot something down?
No, that was in the
No.
Northwest Territories.
All right.
Hi, Rose Brooks.
I'm just catching up on the chat, Dave. It's been busy tonight.
Busy night. Is Dave drinking out of a mason jar? Yes, I am. It's an Atlas mason jar. You know what I do? I'll be honest with you. I use that spaghetti sauce that comes in a mason jar, and when I'm done with that, I pull the label off, wash the jar, and I add it to my drinking glass collection.
No, I have
Free-
some mason jars.
Hold
Good
on,
idea.
let's get going here.
Okay.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight goes to the Great White North. Our main man Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and our special guest from Winnipeg Paranormal in the beautiful capital city of Manitoba. We have Kelly and Ashley. Merle, take it away.
We want to hear some ghost stories of your neck of the woods. Give us your best. Putting you on the spot. There's got to be some at the fort.
Good.
What about Cook's Creek?
Sure.
So we were invited out to the house of, the father-in-law's house of another investigator on our team. He was a non-believer who had experiences. And they warned us right away that somebody had been murdered in the house.
It was in the news.
Yeah.
It was a big news case.
Yeah. So we went into the investigation knowing that. And it was another one of those cases where, you do the investigation and then afterwards, like, oh, yeah, by the way, we forgot to tell you we used a Ouija board in the basement.
Yeah, but we knew. Yeah. I mean, I had said something. Remember, we were just like, there's something happening in the basement, too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, right.
But we got set up, and of course it was like midwinter, snow's blowing on the road, and it's an hour and a half away from us outside of Winnipeg. But we got set up and we were trying some new things. We had bought those motion sensor cat balls. And we set them up in the room with a camera, in the room that the murder happened, where the young girl unfortunately was found. And those balls, wow, they were lighting up all night long. And then you and I split up at one point. You went downstairs to the basement, and Kelly and one of our other investigators were asking questions. And I was upstairs with a ghost box getting the responses. It was an awesome night.
Yeah.
There was so much activity.
No, I mean, we've been in so many places where we've actually been able to get some kind of evidence, like even Down the Vert, which you may be familiar with, the Down the Vert Museum. We were actually in there filming a sizzle reel with, supposedly somebody wanted to do a TV show with us. And so they made a sizzle reel. And while we were in there, we were down in the basement and we asked if anyone was present, who was present, because we could tell because we were getting a lot of activity, because the millimeter was going crazy in a certain area. And as you know, like the millimeter, it takes a lot more for it to activate. And we asked, if they could tell us their name, and clear as day, he said the name of the little boy who actually passed away in that house upstairs. And so we went upstairs and we went into his room and we said, if you are here right now, please, give us a sign. And then as soon as we said that, I can't right now, the REM pod. See, I'm tired. The REM pod went off. We were just like, holy crap. It was like just, it was responding. It's nice when you can actually get it to respond and you're recording it and you have it on video. It was really hard to get like it's like that. It's just like in Ashley's house when, I wish I was recording that when I saw like the smoke, which I later discovered that's what ectoplasm is, when it was going up into the ceiling. But I at least I was able to get that picture of, it looked like a little girl standing on the bed. And then we found out later on that one of the members, he said, I didn't want to like lead you into this earlier on before we investigated, but a friend of mine actually used to live in that house as well. And he used to say that he would see a little girl in the basement. We're like, so it's really cool when you can, experience that stuff and line it up with other things. I mean, they say that there's no evidence, but when you are able to do those things, how can you say that? Like we catch that stuff all the time.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the funniest piece of evidence a ghost has left or done to you, Kelly?
I don't know. All I can think about is somebody who's been emailing. Like I get a lot of weird. I hand out my card a lot, and I put my cell phone on there, which I know I probably shouldn't. So I get a lot of really weird texts and emails. And we were reading I was reading one of the emails, and he said that something's haunting him, and it pooped on the rug. I was like, what? Ghosts can poop? I didn't know that. I was like, I don't even know what to say or how to respond on that note.
It's daring. Phone number on the business card.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I get a lot of weird texts, but I do get some cool pictures.
Or how about the case where we went in and she's like, oh yeah, I have this video of a ghost on camera.
Oh, yes. I don't know why.
We're like, okay, well, send it to us, right? Like, because we were looking at it on this tiny little phone screen and it was all blurry. We're like, just email it to us, right? So we get home and we look at it, and we had to email her right away because we're like, that's not a ghost.
There's a person in your
Somebody's
house.
in your apartment.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't our case anymore. You need to call the police.
We're like, holy crap. There's somebody like hiding in their house. Yeah, it was really yeah. People come to us for everything.
Absolutely. Since paranormal investigating has become extremely popular now and more, what advice do you give to new and upcoming investigators? What would you tell them to do? What would you tell yourself to do 10 years ago from what you know now?
Trust yourself and protect yourself.
Yeah.
Every time. Even if you think there's nothing going on, protect yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Yeah, we learned we learned the hard way. We were like, oh.
How about in selecting the right team or the right tools?
Team is hard. Like it takes time to get to know the person that you're working with.
Mhm.
I mean, Kelly can attest to this. We've gone through so many team members where they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to join, I want to join," and then we take them on a couple investigations, and you're like, "This isn't right for you,"
Yeah.
right? Or it's
Yeah.
not the right fit, and we totally believe in having that skeptic on the team, right?
There he is.
But we want them to be a logical skeptic. Like we don't want them just to say, "Oh, it's not paranormal," just and not have any backup for it. There has to be some logical explanation as to why this can't be paranormal.
And it was a really hard run before Ashley came in, because the whole team thing was super hard, because I had taken it over. Like the person who was running the group asked me to take it over, and there were some people that came in, and like one guy was trying to get everybody to kick me out because he's like, a woman doesn't belong in here and she shouldn't be running this. And then I had another person like threaten me and come after me because I wouldn't let them be in the group. And it went on for a while. I was just like, oh, God, I don't know if I want to run a group. I'm like, this sucks. Why am I doing this? So running the team it's really hard. Really hard.
Why do it? Why do it overall, though?
For me, I'm just driven to know. I really want to know. I want answers. I've always wanted to know answers. Like ever since I was a kid, I dabbled in that stuff, but I also, watched all of those shows. I don't know if you remember In Search of with Leonard Nimoy. I wanted to understand and know that there was something more. And when my dad passed away, I think it drove me more, because I was just like, well, I want to know that, he did go to a better place, and that maybe I can communicate with him. And, it just, all of those questions unanswered just kept driving me. So, I did question myself, like, why am I doing this? This is a lot of heartache to go through. Like I was like, yeah. But I mean, something in you drives you. I mean, we're not getting paid. We're not getting paid to do all of this stuff. And we're, sometimes we're putting ourselves in harm's way and getting harassed. And it's, you're just like, wow, am I crazy? Why am I doing this? Yeah.
I get that, and I appreciate that. What do you hope to solve after all this, Kelly? What's the main goal?
I really want to understand if it is really ghosts that we're talking to, or if it's just another level, another like dimension, so to speak. If there's something else that we're just not understanding. I want to know, like, who. I mean, there's definitely something that we're seeing, and something we're communicating with, and something that we're feeling. And I mean, we hear stories all the time, and I mean, people get messages that actually help other people. It's the things I've seen, I can't explain. So I want to understand that, yes, we put names on them. We call them ectoplasm. We call them spirits. We call them shadow people. But what are they really? I mean, I want to understand, don't you? I don't know.
Do you believe there is life after death?
I sure do. A friend of mine calls it life after life.
A friend of mine says it's a change of address.
There you go.
Merle?
I was just soaking in what you were just saying. I think there's life after death. I wonder. I wonder what it is though, or what we actually. Because you bring up a good point. Who are we actually talking to? Because there's no caller ID on any of our gear, so we kind of just don't know. And that's something that I try to strive and find too. But I also try to find resolution, a resolve for the spirits if I can, and if I can't, I tried, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
but what's next for you guys? What's on your list for this upcoming summertime when it gets very busy for teams?
Well, we've got a couple public investigations planned
Mhm.
with the St. James Assiniboia Historical Museum.
Mhm.
So really looking forward to those. And then, I mean, whatever comes up with clients and
We have three different people at least who have spoken to us so far, who want us to go and check their places out because they're having activity and they want to understand what's going on there.
What is the reaction from people around you when you say you go look for ghosts?
mixed. Some people are like, "Oh, that's so cool. How do I go with you?" I got a new CEO at my job, and we were introducing ourselves and telling us, one neat thing about ourselves. So I brought up that I'm a paranormal investigator, and he goes, "It's really brave of you to say that." Thanks.
Go.
That was their safe answer and political answer. Yeah.
Oh my God. I work in a school, so the kids all know because they're like, I saw you on TV last night. And my kids tell other friends, so they're like, no, your mother does that? Wow.
Yeah, my daughter, she's into it now. I took her on her first investigation last summer.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's 13 and she got her own little EVP. She thought it was the greatest thing ever. Now
Cool.
she wants me to investigate her dance studio.
Oh. Are they going to allow you to?
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Awesome.
What's going on there?
We don't know, Dave. We don't know. We got to bring the gear in, and I think it's more of a show and tell and let people play with all the gear because they're all wanting to be ghost hunters now. Teenage ghost hunters.
That's awesome. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Just because of our experience in Winnipeg, are places very like public places like museums and restaurants and that, are they really secretive about their places being haunted?
I was just going to ask the same thing.
I would say yes. A lot of them are very conservative about it because they think it'll affect their business. They'll open up the ghost stories with you occasionally.
Mhm.
But yeah, a lot of them are like there's a really famous, it's called the Old Spaghetti Factory in Gastown. They don't let anyone in anymore unless you pay money. Because they've had a lot of teams there that just ruin it for others.
Okay.
So they've locked it up and they don't really talk about the ghosts anymore. You can find out about them basically if you Google it now, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the Old Spaghetti Factory because we have one here in Winnipeg, and its prior location is haunted.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and like I find since I've been going to the States often, the States will chat your ears off about their haunted
Yes.
locations. Then they'll want to charge you to just come in because they can capitalize on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very conservative. But I pitch it where, and Dave's the same way. We want to preserve history. So if we go to historical locations, we want to tell their story, and it's okay to say a place is haunted.
Yeah.
Because we're at a time now where there's the old generation and the newer generation look at things differently. The newer generation will watch it if there's a ghost, but if you add some fact to it, the older generation will still hold attention. So if you put it together, it's a success.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I think it's our
Like
country.
there's places here that have been written about in books, and like the stories are all out there, but you go and you talk to them and they're like, oh no, we're not haunted,
Yeah.
nothing's happening here.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. We're like, you can't put it back in the bag. You can't put it.
Yep.
It's already out there.
Yeah. But I think they should be more easygoing about it because it can bring business, it can bring tourism, and it can also
Exactly.
keep all of our stories of our history alive.
Yeah.
There's no sense in squashing it. It's better to celebrate it.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of the museums that we have done, well, a couple of them that we've done a lot of investigations at, and we donate back half the money. And it's brought so many people into those museums that people didn't even know existed.
Mm-hmm.
They would have never gone in there otherwise, and now they know about it. So how is that bad?
Exactly. Throw a few creepy stories and with the history, and they're usually hooked and they go back.
Yeah.
So, right, Dave?
Always go back. And like in our area here, they're actually trying to figure out ways to capitalize on the paranormal, because in my area, there's not a lot that they can do. You
Mhm.
got camping, you got boating, you got hiking, fishing, and hunting. Pretty much it. And how do you create more tourism revenue if you don't have any more ideas and you've already maxed out Supernatural British Columbia?
That's true.
When you have the Gold Rush Trail running right between you, you look at that and you say, well, maybe we got something here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We do got something here, Dave.
We do. 2 minutes to go here, ladies, before we have to say goodnight.
Wow.
What does your 2023 look like for the rest of the year, Kelly?
Paranormal wise? Always busy. We already said that we're busy all the time. And I also like work with other people and, more traveling. Going to see my family and investigate out there as well. Again, out in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and all of those areas.
And where can we find you guys if we're going to look for you on the socials and the intranet?
So we are on Facebook primarily, Winnipeg Paranormal Group. We also have our website, which is winnipegparanormal.com. They can email us at wpgparanormal@gmail.com. And then Kelly also posts some stuff on Twitch as well, so I'll let you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm also under Paranormal Collective on Instagram and Twitch as well.
Okay. Now, for our Winnipeg viewers and listeners, if they're needing an investigation, what's the right process to go through with you guys?
Email. Yeah. That way Kelly and I can both see what's going on, have all the information we need, and then make a plan together.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And Merle, what are you up to here soon?
Oh, we're going to Spokane at some point, Dave. We're going to come see you in July. We're going to see these ladies in July. And we're going to head back into the Kootenays as well. It's going to be a very busy paranormal month or months coming ahead of us. I'm mostly excited to come visit you in July, though.
Yeah, I deserve some Merle time.
You deserve some Merle time.
Deserves some Merle time. Merle, I want to say thank you so much for another great episode of Ghosts of the Great White North tonight. Ashley Barnes, Kelly Perrant Smith, thank you from Winnipeg Paranormal for joining us and making this a very fantastic type show, teaching the hauntings of Canada, as our listeners like to call us.
Thank you for having us.
You're
Yes,
very
this was a
welcome.
blast.
Coming up next, Steve Stockton from Among the Missing is going to bring us another spooky story. Then our resident Timbit, little Timmy Senor, is going to give us a wave, a hello, as we get into some Canadian ufology. Coming up next, in hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio. Merle.
And happy birthday, Stephen, because he's here on his birthday listening
That's
to
right.
us.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Stephen Finnegan. Happy birthday to you. There we go.
Fantastic.
Yay.
The Merle Key Way.
Oh, I didn't even notice that till now.
You didn't notice that? It distracts me. Every time they change it, I'm like, oh, ADHD.
We change it every half an hour. Nobody notices. Nobody notices. Smooth like that. Merle, see you soon.
See you soon.
Ashley and Kelly, good night.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we'll chat with you guys again.
I guess we'll see you in a couple weeks, right?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Woo-hoo.
All right.
All right. Good night, Merle.
Ciao.
Later.
Good night, ladies. I'll be right back. What's happening? Yeah, my light keeps flashing. I don't know why. I think it's my camera. You guys getting ready for Timmy? Timmy! Timmy. No, my light. Here's the thing, though. It's flashing on camera. It is not flashing in the studio. I don't know what it is. Don't know. It's a mystery. No, it's just on camera. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on my terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Talionic. Talionic is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is time once again where we join Steve Stockton with another spooky story from his YouTube channel, Among the Missing.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Hello, once again, my wandering wanderers. Steve Stockton here with you, ATM on SOR. Tonight, we bring you the strange case of Dulce Base. Now, Dulce Base is a supposed underground facility located in the town of Dulce, New Mexico, that has become a popular topic among conspiracy theorists and UFO enthusiasts. According to these theories, Dulce Base is a secret government facility that conducts experiments on extraterrestrial beings and advanced technology in collaboration with various alien species. The origins of the Dulce Base conspiracy theory can be traced back to the early 1980s, when a man named Paul Benowitz claimed to have discovered evidence of extraterrestrial activity near his home in Dulce. Benowitz claimed to have intercepted radio signals that were coming from an underground base. He reported seeing strange lights and objects in the sky above the area. Benowitz's claims quickly gained traction among UFO enthusiasts, and they eventually caught the attention of William Moore, a prominent UFO researcher. Moore conducted a series of interviews with Benowitz and other residents of Dulce, and he eventually published a book called The Dulce Papers, which laid out a detailed account of the supposed activities taking place at the base. According to the Dulce Base conspiracy theory, the facility is a joint collaboration between the U.S. government and various extraterrestrial species. The base is said to be located beneath the Archuleta Mesa near Dulce. It is said to consist of several levels, some of which are accessible only through secret elevators or tunnels. The base is said to be staffed by both human and non-human personnel, and is purportedly engaged in a variety of activities, including genetic experimentation, mind control, and the development of advanced technologies. Some conspiracy theorists even claim that the base houses a vast archive of information about extraterrestrial civilizations and their interactions with humans throughout history. Despite the lack of concrete evidence to support the existence of Dulce Base, the conspiracy theory continues to captivate the imagination of many. Some have pointed to alleged sightings of strange lights and objects in the sky above the area as evidence of extraterrestrial activity. while others claim to have seen mysterious black helicopters and unmarked vehicles in the vicinity. Skeptics, on the other hand, dismiss the Dulce Base conspiracy theory as a hoax or perhaps a misinterpretation of natural phenomena. They point out that there is no concrete evidence to support the existence of the base, and that the claims made by conspiracy theorists are often based on hearsay and speculation rather than hard facts. Despite the controversy surrounding the Dulce Base conspiracy theory, it remains a fascinating and enduring part of UFO lore. Its story serves as a reminder of the enduring fascination humans have with the unknown and the unexplained, and it continues to inspire speculation and intrigue among those interested in the mysteries of the universe. Well, Wanderers, there you have it. What do you think goes on at Dulce Base? I look forward to your comments. Once again, thank you for listening to ATM on SOR. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'll see you a little further on down the trail.
And thank you, Steve, for another great story, this time on the Dulce Base, Steve's channel, Among the Missing. Go to youtube.com/Among the Missing. Make sure you hit subscribe there. He's got dozens of stories just like that, from people going missing and vanishing to monsters and everything in between. It's a great one. You will love it. From the monsters to the stars, little Timmy Senor is back with the UFO report.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
Timmy. I gotta throw some Timmy in there. I do. I totally have to throw it. I'm changing up for our audience. I'm going to be changing up a lot of the audio here in the background because I've just been using this stuff for way too long. It's time to change it up a little bit. So, Timmy, you're going to get your intro is going to sound the same. I'm going to play with it a little bit. I'm going to play with it. Yeah.
All right.
Dude, what a week so far in the UFO world. We might as well just put the ball on the tee, bring out the driver, and swing for the fences, in that hole-in-one, because I'm telling you, busy week already, and it all starts in Canada, my friend.
It does indeed. And Dave, taking the ball, putting it on the tee, and swinging. I would just love to kick it off with a really controversial little piece of Twitterage coming from our very own resident Dave Scott. It's getting some heat, and so I'm just going to give the quote. This happened, about a day ago. He decided to pop this out into the Twitterverse. Starts out with confirmed. Hashtag whistleblower David Grush has met with Canadian government officials regarding UFOs, UAP, and crash retrievals in Canada. The Five Eyes are involved. Crashes happened in Western and Central Canada of interest. Best I got right now. UFO Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Dave, please give us the scoop, because I haven't even had a chance to give you the rundown of my questions for you. We talked earlier, but I still haven't hit you. So please, what can you give us beyond this very vague but intriguing Twitter tweet?
Well, first of all, it's not a story I broke. Okay. It's a story I confirmed through a couple people, knowing that there were many others, including Grant Cameron, and I'm going to assume Nicole Sackage, because she is Grant's right-hand person. Okay. They knew for a while and were sitting on the fact that David Grush had met with Canadian officials. Now, whether they knew his name or not at that time, I'm not sure, but they knew that there was some big meetings going on. So when Larry Maguire, the MP, member of Parliament for the Brandon Souris area of Manitoba, came out with his letter that was broken by George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell a couple of nights ago. Okay, that letter came out actually in May. For some reason, we all missed it. But George and Jeremy were able to get their hands on it, and they ran with it on their podcast called Weaponized. So many questions started coming out of this, saying that this was, major news. This is a bombshell report. I know people in Ottawa. I know people at the Pentagon. So I decided to put my journalism hat back on, and I made a couple phone calls. And these sources, I'm not going to say who they are, because this is how, and this is for the UFO world. Look, I know a lot of people do not trust media right now, Tim, and we haven't trusted the media in a long time. But I still think that there are good media people out there. And I try to be one of those. Try really hard. Okay. It's going against the grain of what we see in infotainment on the nightly news these days and these years. And so I like confirming things. So my sources in Ottawa, I was able to confirm that there was some sort of meetings, that this letter that is called the big bombshell isn't really a bombshell at all. It's more of a firing a rocket over HMCS Trudeau and his team of misfits, and literally saying, hey guys, when are you going to talk about this story? We know you're having chatter. We know Dr. Mona Nemer, Canada's top scientist, is involved. She's trying to bring together all of the alphabet agencies under one roof with everything. We know that. This is all old news behind the scenes. And yes, some of it has come out. Okay, from Daniel Otis, from us, from Grant Cameron, from many others, Chris Rutkowski as well. Okay, but not much has come out of the United States. Okay, in regards to it. So the point that I'm getting at is, a lot of Americans don't understand how the Canadian political system works. Larry Maguire, being part of the opposition, has zero power, zero authority. The only party in power, which is the Canadian Liberal Party, which is run by Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, are the only ones that can make any sort of decisions. However, what the opposition party can do is they could fire salvos over the ministers of Parliament and the Prime Minister himself to bring it to attention. And that's exactly what he did, bringing it to Canadian Ministry of Defense Minister Anita Anand, basically saying, when are you going to open up about this? When are you going to talk about it? Isn't it time that we got things done? We're meeting with Five Eyes. We know AUKUS is meeting. We know the Five Eyes have their own private UFO group. What's Canada's role? Tell us. Because even though Larry Maguire is a leader in this field in Canada, okay, he's not a ufologist. He's got a keen interest in Canadian security. So what he's doing here, Tim, is he is trying to get the conversation public. He knows the Liberal Party is going through a lot of problems right now. More recently, the Prime Minister is under police investigation for his role in this case called SNC Lavalin, which was funneling money into this SNC Lavalin company. So he's now being investigated by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So why not just throw more dirt on it? Why not throw more grease on the fire? Everybody's talking UFOs. The Liberal Party of Canada has been conspicuously silent on this, while the opposition Conservatives and other members from other parties have started talking about it. So that is why I believe he fired the salvo, to get the conversation going. Now, Maguire cannot do anything. He can just comment. He can meet with people As Lou Elizondo pointed out on this show last year, I set up a conversation between Elizondo and McGuire to get that conversation going between Canada and the United States. That led to more conversations. It led to potential meetings, which included Grant Cameron, Nicole Sakic, and many others. But unfortunately, those meetings fell through. Okay. What is important about this letter is it talks about crash retrievals. Now, most Canadians will never think that a UFO has crashed in Canada. We now know through sources that there is one, at least, in the northern reaches of Manitoba that has landed in the hands of the United States military in a joint effort. Canada got a few pieces, and so did the Americans. Where did it happen? We know it didn't happen in Jarhead, which is an Indian reserve, or probably Jackhead, which is an Indian reserve, even though a few years ago it was alleged that a UFO had crashed there in the middle of winter. That did not happen. We know it wasn't Falcon Lake because that was only drips of metal coming off the craft. It wasn't a crash retrieval. This is where it's all going. Okay. It's going on the scientific side. And I think, as you and I have talked in the past, that Canada taking this on a scientific role is going to probably accomplish a little bit more publicly than we will have noticed from the United States. That's the way I look at it. Your thoughts?
Simply because they're talking about exploitation of materials, correct? It gives them somewhere to start from, at least. I think that's right, especially considering what I still would consider a bombshell letter. Some of the things that are in the letter from Larry McGuire MP have some bold significance. Just as the tagline reads, the Defense Research and Development Canada in possession of recovered UAP material. I mean, that's a huge top line, and then details following below. And the fact that it is going to the Minister of Defense just kind of proves that it's information that we're assuming he already had, as you were saying, and it's kind of saying it's time to talk about it. And I love that you highlighted that. So pointing out that the Five Eyes are involved and that they are very aware of secretive programs concerning the recovery and exploitation of these materials shows that it's got a paper trail, and the fact that it is being picked up by the United States, finally. I know originally this letter was penned back in March 22nd of 2023, but now we are getting it brought forward, not just by our media through Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp through their Weaponized podcast, but also written by Christopher Sharp and covered by Liberation Times. Bringing this topic to the United States is massively important, knowing that this discussion is going on for quite a while. And it's on another level at this point in Canada in particular, I must say. The fact that there isn't such a, let's say, urgency, I guess, is
That's a good way to put it. The Canadian media has not really opened up to this. Okay, they are still not really covering it. They may scrape across the story, but they're not interested in covering this. Okay, it doesn't have the beauty of the coverage that is happening in the United States. Why it isn't, I have no idea. I've talked to my fellow journalists about it, and it's a non-story. Don't know why, but it is.
Do you feel like it's potentially the same reason that David Grush didn't get traction in the United States?
No, it's different than that. Our media is more woke culture right now, and I'm not saying that to be insultive of anybody, but they're more about about feelings these days rather than telling actual news stories. Okay. And what I just said is very controversial. A lot of people in Canada may not like that. Okay. But the truth is, we're not getting a lot of hard news around here anymore. Okay. We're getting a lot of fluff, a lot of how do you feel type news. Okay. Rather than reporting on the horrors of the forest fires or that are burning in a lot of the provinces in Canada, or
Indeed.
concentrating on the government conspiracies that are going on regarding like Teflon Trudeau. Okay. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. We need feelings. Somebody has their burger smashed at McDonald's. Well, we have to do a news report on that because we're worried about that person's feelings that they didn't get to eat their hamburger. Right. That's the way we're doing news up here these days. And so the other thing, too, is the Canadian military is not popular. Okay, they have record lows in new recruits. They have actually had to raise the payment for fighter pilots just to keep them from retiring. And why somebody would want to retire from flying an F-18, I don't know. I mean, I would like to do it. Pay me, I'll do it. I'll be like Cousin Eddie there in Independence Day. Randy Quaid.
I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Diving into this letter from Larry Maguire, MP, I'm kind of curious. In a quote here, he says, "I'm writing to recommend you request a classified briefing containing full sensitive and protected program information from your officials on the Government of Canada's historical and ongoing efforts on analyzing recovered UAP material." And it goes on to say recovered foreign material is studied through the Five Eyes Foreign Material Program, FMP, which in Canada is sponsored by the Canadian Forces Intelligence Command, aligned with several intelligence sharing arrangements and treaties. Is this quote inferring that Minister Anand doesn't already know this, or that he hasn't already been briefed? Is that what we are to take away from this?
We know she has been briefed a minimum of 2 to 3 times, not only by her own Ministry of Defense, but by U.S. government officials as well. And we may even include David Grush in that, Luis Elizondo in that, and many others. It's a list that needs to be compiled that I believe will get out of the United States more than we will get out of Canada. Okay, because Canada still has that attitude of, if we don't talk about it, we don't have to deal with it. Kind of like MUFON. MUFON and the Canadian government have the same attitude, and I say that in jest. But the point that to follow your point, Maguire is just trying to get the ball moving, forward, basically calling out Anand, saying, what do you know? Tell us what you know. What have you been briefed on? I wish he would do it in question period when the cameras are on in the House of Commons. But he hasn't done that yet. He's playing the slow game and a calculated game. And this is where it gets interesting. And we're going to continue, Tim, with the coverage of this UFO news out of Canada, as many of our listeners like to call it. Thank you, White House Press Secretary, for calling us Canadian. That's how that was found. The UFO Report with Tim Senor continues on Spaced Out Radio with the final half hour. Right after this, stay tuned. My name is Dave Scott. So glad you're tuning us on in. Fun times, Timmy.
Oh, it really is. It really is. It's hot in here tonight. I have my door open.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah. Might have to
Starfish
unbutton.
Troopers podcast. How are you? Who else do we have in here? The lovely and talented Nicole Sakic. There's been a random Gee sighting. Big Dog, Big J, Big Nuts. Reality, how you doing? Alex Sanchez, nice to see you. Philippe Baca, good to have you here. Hi, Apollo 11. Nice to see you as well.
So I had an artistic AI draw me as a Viking, and it got my widow's peak just right. You tell me what you think.
Looks more like me than you. F you, President Zaddy. Does that look more like Tim or a younger me? Let's have a fan vote. J Don, how you doing, man? Hold on. Does that picture look more like Tim or more like me? Deb says Dave. Vashti Taylor says Dave. Mike Bothwell says Dave. Stephen Edmonds says Dave. Max Stack says Dave. And here the whole time, Tim, I thought Roderick Martin was my twin. You're the triplet now.
Well, according to this, I did have a widow's peak when I had hair, and I did grow it long into a ponytail, so it is bizarre.
I'd like to see you grow your hair out again. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, show my double chin on there. Makes me real attractive. Thank you.
No, it looks like you're double hosting. You're double hosting. You're doing a great job.
That was on the way to Area 51. Yes, Rob G. I'm not sure how you haven't seen the resemblance between Roderick and myself with the white beards and, the deep masculine voices. Yeah, Derek Galloway showing his true colors, playing ponytail soccer.
I did play soccer and had a ponytail.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry your parents.
He called it. No, they just let me pick, and there was either that or lacrosse, and I actually played lacrosse as well. So, sorry, field hockey. Yeah,
I like lacrosse. Lacrosse is a tough game.
Forget about it. Yeah,
dude, you want to see some real killer lacrosse? Go watch the Canadian Nationals. There's this team I believe they're out of Ontario. They're called the Six Nations. Dude, these guys are brutally strong and tough and mean and dirty. And it's a beautiful game when they play.
It's so much fun.
509er, how you doing? Jeremy wants to know, soccer, do you use bumpers at the bowling alley too, Tim?
No, but my son does. My son definitely does. He's learning. And my daughter.
Thurston Howell the third, if you're from Six Nations, then you know what I'm talking about, how great and vicious their lacrosse is. When is the Big Nick Symposium? I don't know, Lee. There's a lot. I talked to Melinda Leslie today, and she didn't know. And but we're all waiting on pins and needles, man. Thank you tonight to Stephen on his birthday, Jake, NorCal, Sandra, Vaughn, Mikey, Sandra on her birthday too, by the way, Deb and Vash the Impaler, Aaron Baca, the young Aaron. What's happening? Of course, random guy uses bumpers while bowling. By the way, random guy, potential second or third week of August. Here we go, everyone. All right, let's kick off this final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate hurting your listening ears. Reminder, if you haven't yet, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Little Timmy Senor is here for the UFO report. Tim, we're still talking Canada, Canadian military, Canadian UFOs. You had a bunch of questions you wanted to fire off.
We do. And so part of the Larry Maguire letter also writes that in this quote, recovered foreign material is studied through the Five Eyes Foreign Material Program, the FMP, which in Canada is sponsored by the Canadian Forces Intelligence Command, aligned with several intelligence sharing arrangements and treaties. Could you please go into detail what the inference is here that the Five Eyes Foreign Material Program, what is that? Could you go into detail?
Well, this is something that is a little bit new coming out of that letter because a lot of people had only heard about the idea that the Five Eyes actually had their own UFO program going. So Maguire actually confirmed something that a lot of people thought of right there. So a lot of people who are wondering what is the Five Eyes or who are the Five Eyes, we need to explain that first and foremost. That is a pact between the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia, the United States, and Canada for military protection as well as global protection, along with trade protection. So it's a very important group of allies that have got together to kind of protect the Pacific as well as the Atlantic regarding anything to do with defense or trade or anything, more so defense when it comes down to it. And with that, they have been passing in, and I've known for a couple of years that the Five Eyes has been passing UFO information back and forth to each other, with the United States kind of being the home of that information. So if something did happen, they were all kind of funneling their stories into the United States, but every country had access to those logs of what happened regarding UFOs and or crash retrievals, etc. But Maguire becomes the first one to actually come out and publicly state that this group does exist. Not allegedly exists, but does exist. So that's the importance of that.
Okay. And I also see here that it says in May of 2023, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who leads the U.S. government's UAP office known as AARO, disclosed having conducted a meeting with the Five Eyes nations to discuss the subject of UAP. And as per Maguire and numerous sources, it has become evident that the Five Eyes connection concerning UAP extends far beyond surface level involvement. And so we also heard from you that we had David Grush also speaking to the Five Eyes. Is that correct?
Yes. David Grush, the latest and greatest whistleblower to come out in regards to the UFO phenomena. His name has been all over this show and all over the internet for the last 2 weeks here or so. He's a realtor out of Colorado who's former United States Air Force, a decorated soldier. I think we can call him that. That's fair to say. He is a combat veteran, along with, after his Air Force career, joining the UAPTF, where he became a whistleblower. And, you know, we've been talking about, even last night on the show, where we were talking about the fact that he was the first one to bring up that pilots are in these craft, which I think was massive. If I was still mainstream media, I'd be still all over that story. Still all over it. And we still are to an extent. But if I was mainstream media, I'd be all over it still, trying to get some more information on what he meant by pilots. Long story short, we know now through my sources and confirmation from others who are in the know as well, that he has met with government officials in Canada at least twice, could be 3 times or more, to talk about this subject, about what he knew, whether that was in the official capacity of the UAPTF or not. We do not know. We do know that he has had conversations and that he is kind of, I don't want to say on a tour of talking to members of the Five Eyes about this, but his knowledge is becoming very important to what is happening and allows, say, for instance, in Canada, the ministers and the members of parliament to be able to, who are interested in this subject, to be able to bear witness to what the United States is talking about. So one of the things that we do have to understand here, when somebody like Grush or Luis Elizondo breaks down their information, they actually have to go through a vetting process of that information so they don't break any American NDAs or give up any American military secrets. So they're allowed to give a lot more than what you and I would get from them, but they're not giving up sensitive information because America is, in the end, about protecting the United States. It's not about protecting Canada or the UK. It's about the United States. But they do have this agreement that if something does happen that coincides with what other countries are experiencing, then they will share if it doesn't affect national security on a major level in the U.S. So I do want to clarify that for our American listeners as well.
Excellent. And could you also dive a little deeper into this next portion concerning AUKUS? As McGuire writes in this quote, I'm concerned with the expected upcoming public announcements, which will be coordinated between AUKUS, AUKUS, which could damage Canada's credibility with our allies and the Canadian public on the global stage concerning the UAP subject. Could you go into a little more detail what that means?
My headphones cut out for a second. Can
Sure.
I get you to just repeat that a little bit, please?
Sure. So according to McGuire, the alliance at AUKUS, AUKUS, the trilateral security pact involving Australia and the UK and the US. He's saying that he's concerned that expecting upcoming public announcements will be coordinated between AUKUS, which could damage Canada's credibility with allies and Canadian public on the global stage concerning UAP subject.
Absolutely. What he means by that is Canada, the United States, the UK, and Australia have all, if I remember this correctly, they have all complained about Canada's lack of attention towards military protection of North America, of NORAD, of NATO, and their role. Canada, going back 30 years, used to have an extremely prominent role, especially in peacekeeping forces by the UN. That has since fallen by the wayside, especially over the last 8 to 16 years. So what happened was the UK, Australia, and the United States formed their own defense pact and left Canada out of it, which was a cause for concern by the opposition party, the Conservatives here, which Larry McGuire is a part of, because he believes that Canada should be a part of that, and rightfully so. Okay? Our boys and girls are playing in 45-year-old aircraft. They're playing with the Army is playing with tanks that are 40 years old. All of our equipment, we only get just enough to get by. So whereas, let's say you have transport planes almost in every state, we have one base for transport planes. That's in Thunder Bay, Ontario, that services the entire country, the second largest country in the world. Our Army numbers have dwindled to, I believe, let me just get this check, do a check here. How many service members in the Canadian Armed Forces? Canada has a personnel of 92,600. That is for the Army, Navy, and Air Force. We don't have a Marine Corps. Okay, and it's a combined staff where they all work together. Okay, so the idea that we are not getting our troops the proper equipment to do their job has been a reference of concern by the Americans, the United Kingdom, and Australia. This is where I believe McGuire jumps in and says we should be embarrassed as Canadians that we haven't upgraded our Air Force. We haven't upgraded to latest technologies for our Army. Canada likes to be a leader in saying, you know what, militaries are obtuse these days and obsolete. But that's not true. We're still in a very, very dangerous world. And all it takes is another 9/11 type scenario to get Canada to smarten up a little bit.
Recently, also in this, McGuire refers to upcoming public revelations that will stem from American FMPs. And I believe that there's an inference that he also singles out Defense Research and Development in Canada, the DRDC, which he asserts, as per the title of this letter, has participated in efforts to analyze UAP materials, which is traceable back to circa 1950. And so the DRDC is Canada's version of America's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA. And so I was wondering, could you maybe speak to the inference that this DRDC has recently made an outright admission that they're in possession of recovered UAP material, feeling, that's a pretty big, giant leap and a big statement. And I was wondering, since you probably have an idea of what they're talking about, what does that statement mean for Canada's version of DARPA?
Well, I think what it means is Canada is still in the UFO game. Nobody asks, and they don't have to tell. They can put it out there on their websites that they are going through this. We know Canada has been involved in the UFO game since the 1950s with Wilbur Smith. Okay, and Wilbur Smith was literally North America's leading scientist or researcher, whatever you want to call him, on this subject, to the point where the United States military was sending him information regarding research on this project, Project Magnet. And that's where Grant Cameron is way more expert than me on this subject. Way more expert than me. He has books upon books of Wilbur Smith's notes and studies regarding the phenomena. And we know, though, that Canada has always been a leader. This is where we get to the don't ask, don't tell. Okay? Or don't ask, we don't need to tell if nobody asks type of attitude. We know that they are sharing. That's just obvious. If we have our own crash retrievals here, yeah, we're going to share some with our friends to the south. Absolutely. But we do need an area of study here. And that's why Dr. Mona Nemer, Canada's top scientist right now, is trying to bring a unit together all under one roof to study the files that everybody has, from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to CSIS to the Ministry of Defense to NAV Canada, Transport Canada, all of the major energy companies. This is where it all she's trying to get a hold of that information to put it all under one roof. So the fact that we do have people looking into crash retrievals and materials, not surprising whatsoever.
That's excellent. Thank you for that. In the letter addressed to Anand, McGuire carbon copied the following officials: Melanie Joly, Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Omar Algebra, Canada's Minister of Transport, Dr. Mona Nemer, Canada's chief scientist, I'm just relaying the list you just did, Major General Michael Wright, commander of Canadian Forces Intelligence Command. And knowing that these people were also brought in on this, you in the beginning of the show kind of said that this just feels like a warning shot. However, knowing that those people were CC'd in on this, do you feel with the big movement, the top scientists are now launching their study in Canada on UAP known as the Sky Canada Project? There's a big movement for transparency in Canada. This feels a little bit more than just a warning shot. Why do you feel there's more to come?
Well, because, I mean, Canada wants to open it up on a scientific level. We don't play the military game here. Okay. I mean, you and I have had that conversation publicly on this show and privately as well. McGuire wants the story out. As long as it doesn't hurt Canadian national security, he wants the story out. And that's kind of this, the difference between the Canadian direction of ufology and the American direction, okay, which is the threat narrative, which we have heard so much about. So the fact that he has listed all of those people tells me point blank, he goes, I know what's going on. I know what's happening here. I know what you guys are doing. I know what information you're holding. I just can't say anything because I'm not the guy in power. Anita Anand, the Minister of Defense, is the lady in power regarding this subject. Now, whether she's taking it seriously, whether Prime Minister Trudeau is taking it seriously, I highly doubt it.
And we know that, like you're saying, they're looking at the science aspect of this. And in a quote, McGuire stated, "It is essential the chief science advisor be given full access to the defense programs and be briefed on the collaborative scientific research efforts with our allies." That tells me that they have a different, perhaps, level of security attached to this information than we do here in the United States. Because according to everyone involved so far on the UAP research front in this country, we've seen nothing but security, 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 and people not getting access to the proper information before they can make a educated decision on this topic. So it looks like Canada has done something different. Is that right? Is there a different classification attached to this information?
Look, they're not going to do anything to piss off the Americans because in the end, America controls this subject. What they are going to do is push the limits on the science of it all. Okay. They're coming at it from a completely different angle. Threat narrative in the US, no threat narrative in Canada. Just want to make sure that there is not a national security issue. That's what they're waiting for. That's what they're striving for right now. And that's what it's all about, Tim. It's actually quite easy.
Well, I'm just happy to see that we're talking about it in this country and that finally the story has come to light. I think it's great that we're getting these headlines and that this conversation is moving in this way. I was aware of this letter, but I didn't really get the gravity of it, I think, until recently with everything else that we've seen align that's come since.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting to find out coming up here is I know we only got about 2.5 minutes to go here for tonight. Okay, but what we need to see is how does this play out? I do not think there's going to be any public statements from Mona Nemer, the top scientist. I don't think Anita Anand is going to be commenting on it, especially the fact that the Prime Minister right now is in a little bit of legal trouble with the SNC Lavalin case. Now, whether that affects what everybody else does, we'll have to see. I mean, Canada right now, people aren't interested in UFOs. We have interest rates at 6.5% going up again. Mortgages, the majority of Canadian mortgages are going to be expiring within the next 2 to 2.5 years. And people are freaking out on how they are going to pay their mortgages. Okay, with current interest rates, if they stay the same and do not get lowered. So there is a lot of bigger issues right now in Canada with the Canadian government than UFOs. But the fact that Larry McGuire fired this shot over the bow, it's like it's like the Wicked Witch of the West, man. She's always watching. And that's Larry McGuire right now. He's always watching. And I love it. I love it.
Thanks for tonight, Dave. This has been fun.
Yes. And by the way, that tweet, it doesn't sound like much, but for what we do, it's a lot. It had 880 likes, 144 retweets, and 8 quotes. I'll take that.
Beauty, eh?
Absolute beauty. By the way, Jimmy Ducks, New Jersey. The guy is using gray alien gifts. He's obviously a joke. We'll just respond on that one. You're a joke.
Right across the bow.
Hold on. You're Ray Romano. Not funny.
Not funny.
Yeah. There we go. That felt good. Sometimes I like being sarcastic on Twitter. Nobody wants to be Ray Romano, not funny. Tim, great job, my man. We'll see you in a couple days. Thank you to everybody else on the show tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, LinkedIn, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Turn that off there. There we go. I love people like this on Twitter. This venti guy, okay, says, I said, it's my job to get my sources to talk and protect their identities in order to bring that information to you, the public. So that way the door remains open to bring to people like you. He goes, you're talking about UFOs, a topic which is renowned for being false. No citing sources, no confirmation, no statistics or imagery. Please tell me how this sounds believable. Because I'm credible. I don't care if you believe that. People like you in this field. Oh, that's cruel. I'm not going to say that. Help me out. Where's that AI shit that I need to do here? Oh, well. What part of protecting my sources are you not understanding? Would you like me to bring them out so that way they never speak to anyone in the UFO public again. Wouldn't that be great? To shut down a main line of information. Please learn how journalism works. I think that's fair. That's a good comment. That's solid daving right there. Solid daving. All right. Let's see. What are we doing here? I got to get things going here. Was that sarcastic enough? Not really sarcastic, but was that forward enough? That's the perfect example, everyone, of why I asked you, what is proof? If I give up my sources, okay, if I give up my sources on who it is that confirmed this with me, my sources not only would never talk to me again, but they would never talk to probably anybody in the ufology again. What good does that do you for people who want that information to come out? Even if my source was the prime minister himself, I would not give it up. I would not. If they ask me not to, I will not give it up. And people just don't get it. They just don't get it. Look, I don't like the fact that I got to say sources. I would love to tell you where I'm getting my information from, but I need that information door to continue to be open. And I don't see why people like these Twitterites here. Where's my show from tonight? Stopped it. Where's my show? Well, it's right there. Hold on. Oh, I don't have to do. That's what. Okay, Davey. Okay. Bingo. Anyways, sweet. I got screwed up there. Yeah, anyways. People like this, I understand they're tired of words. And trust me, I'm tired of words too. Okay? I am. I want this stuff to break open. One way or another, it's got to come to a head. Okay? But the cool part about it is people are still talking. And as long as they're talking, we have a chance to get information out. Whether it's me, whether it's Liberation Times, whether it's Thomas Fessler, whether it's anybody, John Greenwald, anybody. We all have that ability. Okay? People just don't understand. That's okay. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Edit, undo, paste. Missed it by that much. Copy, paste. You know what I love? I love it when you're perusing through shorts on YouTube, and next thing you know, you see someone shaving the corns off another person's foot. Like I really wanted to see that. To shave those corns away. Why do they call them corns? They don't look like corn. All right, let's find out. Let's play. Let's have some fun here. Let's have some fun here. Okay. What is your fetish stuff on YouTube? I'm not talking sexually, okay? But what is your fetish? What is your little go-to on YouTube when it comes to channels? I'll start with mine. I love watching this guy out of Scotland. He's called the Hoof GP, and literally he carves down and shaves down the hooves of cattle. I don't know why. The guy has totally got me intrigued. He's got like over 1 million subscribers now who just watch him trim the feet of cows. And it's totally interesting. Totally interesting. See, Thurston Howell the third, you know what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you, when you get a good squirter of pus coming out of that foot, you never know where that stuff is going. It's gross as hell, but the guy's got a good thing going. Let's see, what are you guys putting up? Oh, hold on. Derek watches people shave sheep because they have a kernel and don't go away until they are removed. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for the clarification on foot corns. Skip to my little bride caught groceries cheating during wedding. Oh, okay. Mr. Rob G. First Amendment audits take me down a long rabbit hole. Skip to my loop. Live police scanner. Come on. Fill them in. Let's go here, people. There's more than there's 148 watching right now. I will tell you. John McGovern, Raccoon Whisperer. That sounds interesting. Max, it would take me off when I ran out of things. Let's see. Steam Train Mark, thank you for letting me know I'm alive later today. The Hoff GP, or the Hoof GP is fantastic. He is fantastic. I love the way he says it when cows go lame. Their foot have gone lame. Oh, you could just feel the pain in his voice. Love that guy. My other go-to, I watch people open $1,000 worth of sports cards. I've been getting into that too. I've been getting into the sports card thing too. And I wish I would have never got rid of my collection. Deb likes videos of cows with diarrhea. That's gross. Gross. Why? Why, Deb? Why? I'm going total Nancy Kerrigan on you right now. Why? Why? Derek, I would not even know where to start in today's card collecting business. I really would not know where to start. It's best I don't, because if I become addicted to that. Hey, Mr. Tumwater. I lost 3 Wayne Gretzky rookie cards to throwing cards. Yeah, see, that would piss me off that I can't afford to do that. Can't wait. Go to the chiropractor at 9 in the morning, 9:45. Then I'm got my haircut to do tomorrow afternoon. All right. I will be right back, people. Don't go anywhere. Panini's did used to be Walmart special cards. Wow. Be right back. Anything move? No, nothing moved. All right. Let's get this going. Close that off. What else can we close off? Who's on the show tomorrow night? Carter Bouchard. We're going to get into some Bigfooting tomorrow night. Our main man, Carter Bouchard, is going to be with us. Derek Galloway, what is your huge favor? Justin Hemmingson, how you doing? Tokeland, second best Canadian band after Rush. Tragically Hip. Why does Andrew Fricker need a wrench? I like Nickelback. I do. Oh, man. Guns N' Roses free live on BBC. Oh, I'd like to see that. All right. Carter Bouchard tomorrow night, everybody. Thank you to Vash the Impaler, Deb, Mike, Vaughn, Sandra, NorCal, Jake, and Steven for the amazing super chats. We will talk to you all tomorrow night. Bigfoot Talk. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.